Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is Open Mic. Now, every day on the John Campea Show, we save a little bit of time to take some live questions, but here on Open Mic, that's all we do, is just take live open questions, and that's what we're going to do on this Sunday evening. Now, before any of you ask me about it, I'll just address this quick. It is now official, that tomorrow night, during halftime of the Monday Night Football game, we are going to get our next full official Captain Marvel trailer. I've actually known about this for a few days. And I've had it confirmed to me by a few people. But I am not in the scoop breaking business. I try not to be in the scoop breaking business. So when I thought they were about to announce that the Captain Marvel trailer was coming tomorrow, I put out just a little tweet that said, hey, Captain Marvel trailer is coming tomorrow night during the Monday Night Football game at halftime. And because I just thought I'd be, clever, and you just put it out like 5 minutes before it's officially announced, right? Well, like an hour passed, and they still didn't drop the commercial when I thought they were going to drop the commercial announcing the new trailer tomorrow. And all of a sudden, like Screen Rant and Comic Book Movies and a few other websites started running stories that the Captain Marvel trailer is dropping tomorrow because John Campea said so on Twitter. I'm like, shit, this is not what I wanted to have happen. So I deleted my tweet. And I deleted my tweet about 15 minutes after I deleted my tweet, but only after like 1,000 people retweeted it. After I deleted my tweet, then they finally dropped the commercial and it's made official. So we are getting our Captain Marvel trailer tomorrow, and then it looks like Wednesday morning is when we're going to be getting our Avengers trailer. So that's what it looks like is happening for those of you who have been like sending me messages on Twitter asking me why I deleted my tweet. That's why I deleted my tweet, because I only wanted it to be up for a few minutes before they dropped the official announcement. I didn't anticipate it being up for like an hour, and all of a sudden these other websites started to quote me, and I'm like, shit, this is not what I wanted. And so I just deleted the tweet. And turns out I could have left it up for another 15 minutes, but whatever. Okay, with that nonsense out of the way, let's go over and take the live questions, because that's what we're here to do today. Except, where are my live questions? I've misplaced my live questions. No, I haven't. Here they are. Okay, here we go. The first live question today comes to us from Terry Schultz, who writes, Captain Marvel trailer tomorrow, Avengers 4 trailer on Wednesday. Well, yeah, it's official. The Captain Marvel trailer is tomorrow. We believe that the Avengers 4 trailer is coming Wednesday. So finally, all these hyper babies who just badly need to get their diapers changed, whining and crying about, why is Marvel not releasing the Avengers trailer? A movie that does not come out for 5 months. Crying and begging for Marvel to give us that piece of corporate manipulation designed to manipulate us to give them more money. That's what a trailer is, by the way. And screaming, we're angry you're not giving us a trailer. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm as big of an MCU fan as anybody. I love the MCU. I love comic book movies. I love Marvel movies. Love it. Very excited for the Avengers 4 trailer. But oh my God, the way the movie fan community has acted like a bunch of spoiled babies who need their diapers changed over they're like, it's cute to go, oh man, I can't wait for the Avengers trailer. That's fine. That's great. We're all saying can't wait for the Avengers trailer. And even to say, man, I hope it comes soon. Nothing wrong with that. But oh my God, we've been seeing these crybabies going, Disney's going to lose me as a fan if they don't stop holding back the Avengers trailer from us. It's like, do you realize what an idiot you sound like? Like, I just want, it's ridiculous. Marvel is being irresponsible, holding back the movie's coming out in 5 fucking months. 5 months till this movie comes out. And you are crying and bitching and complaining about my corporate overlord isn't giving me my corporate design piece of manipulation to make more money off me. How dare they hold back their corporate design piece of manipulation to get more money out of me? It's just mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. At first I laughed it off as a film fan because it's just like, we're just getting excited about seeing the new trailer. That's all it is. But then I started to see it's not just a bunch of people excited about seeing the new trailer, which there's nothing wrong with. It's a bunch of overprivileged, spoiled babies actually bitching and crying and shouting like they're angry over the fact that, where's our trailer? How dare you hold it? And I've just been like, this isn't real. This can't possibly be real. And then you look around, it's like, oh my God, this is real. The human race is completely hopeless. Human race is completely hopeless. It's just, I mean, oh my God, guys. Like, I am as excited to see Avengers 4 as anybody. But holy shit, if you don't believe for a second that within our comic book movie fan communities, there are complete corporate zombie slaves, look at a group of people who are drooling and screaming and demanding, angrily demanding, that their corporate overlords give them their corporately designed piece of manipulation, a trailer, because that's what trailers are. They're corporate designed pieces of manipulation to manipulate you and me into going to see their movies. It's a completely important part of the movie business. I get it. I love trailers. You love trailers. But man, if you don't believe that there are a large amount of corporate zombie slaves within our film fan community, look at this mob or horde, as they call them. This horde of people drooling and angrily screaming for their corporate masters to give them their piece of corporately designed manipulations. I need my corporate manipulation device. Give it to me. I just couldn't believe it. I just can't believe it. Like, there are people above the age of 6 acting like this. Says the guy sitting here ranting about comic book movies, but there it is. Look, we are all, let's just admit it, we are all fucking ridiculous. We're all, you are, I am, we all are. We're all just fucking ridiculous. It's crazy. And we all manifest it at different times and in different ways. And in this particular instance, there's a group of people manifesting it, and in other situations, there'll be the rest of us demonstrating it and manifesting it. It's what we are. We are ridiculous people. We're a ridiculous species. We completely are. Anyway, let's move on from that. Ant Banks, 1984, writes, John, has anyone ever told you resemble Steve Perry from Journey? I have never heard that. I've gotten Liam Neeson sometimes, which is a little bit of an insult to Liam Neeson, but I have never gotten Steve Perry from Journey. No. Also, Marvel is trolling us by not releasing the Avengers 4. No, God, fucking God. It's a movie. I swear to God, people are acting like this movie comes out in 3 weeks. Everybody's acting like this is a movie that comes out in 3 weeks, and they still haven't given us anything. This movie is not coming out for 5 months. It is 5 months away. 5 months. Everybody take a breath. Disney is not trolling. Look, Disney also has another MCU film coming out before Avengers Infinity War that they have to give a certain amount of attention to. And that's Captain Marvel. It's coming out months before Avengers is. They need a good amount of the attention to be put on Captain Marvel. Hence the decision to have this new Captain Marvel trailer come out before the Avengers trailer. Because they put out the Avengers trailer, a movie that doesn't come out for another 5 months, first, and then the Captain Marvel trailer like 48 hours later. No one's going to be paying attention to the Captain Marvel trailer. You got to put this one out first. Absolutely you do. It's the right move. But at any rate. Okay. Ben Rayner writes, I think Shazam is going to be a major blockbuster. I think it's going to be a hit with $873,658,376.76. Is that specific enough, John? Just kidding. I think it's going to be a moderate hit around $400 million. I'm actually guessing Shazam is going to be a little bit higher than that. I'm actually pegging it maybe around $500 million. And $500 million, I think, is something Warner Brothers would be very happy with. Very happy. Because right out off the bat, it's a new character. For a lot of people, it's a new character. It's a new character kind of trying to do their movies in a different kind of way. And they're coming out of the gate with an unorthodox choice as your lead with Zach. And I love the casting, but it's an unorthodox casting for sure. And I think if they hit 500 million, I think Warner Bros. Is going to be very happy. And I think they should be very happy. So I'm pegging around 500, maybe just an inch or two north of that. I don't think it's going to hit 800 million or anything like that, but it doesn't need to. It doesn't need to have those types of expectations. I think 475 to 530, if it comes somewhere in that window, I think that's a win for Warner Brothers as they're trying to now restart some momentum going again. And I think that would be a big win for them. I think that would be a great one for them. All right. Matt Thornton writes, "Well, I'm sure there'll be callbacks to the original Mary Poppins and Mary Poppins Returns. I really hope Feed the Birds will be one of them." Well, I mean, I don't think we can expect to see any, like, callbacks are not reenactments, right? I don't expect to see any reenactments. You know, for example, I don't believe we're going to see Spoonful of Sugar, right? Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Something Mary Poppins should sing to those Marvel fans who are crying that we're not getting the Avengers 4 trailer first. Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Anyway, I don't believe we're going to get any reenactments of that, right? So callbacks, maybe. References, for sure. But like reenactments of any of those significant scenes, I don't think we're going to see that. I could be wrong about that. I'm not basing that on any insider information. That's just me as a fan speculating. But I don't think we're going to get any of that. Let's see. Bobby Hutchison writes, "Hey, John, love the show. Thank you so much. What are your thoughts on the live-action Sonic the Hedgehog movie coming next year? And do you think it will do well?" Hard to say. I mean, first of all, we haven't seen anything from it, right? So if you had asked me what I thought about a Detective Pikachu movie the day before the trailer came out and the day after the trailer came out, well, we have completely different perspectives, right? Same is true of Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm not really sure why they're making this movie, to be honest with you, but maybe they have a great idea for it and they're going to crush it, and the first trailer will come out and convince all the doubters like the Pikachu trailer did, right? So it's hard to say. I do know this. I like Jim Carrey's casting as the bad guy. Jim Carrey's casting as the bad guy, I thought was pretty interesting. James Marsden, I believe, is in it as well. So how do I think it's going to do? I have no indication about whether this movie looks or feels any good or not. I have to at least see a bit of a trailer before I can really speculate. From a starting position, I don't understand why they're making it. I don't think Sonic the Hedgehog is a strong IP today, but that can all be done away with a really strong trailer. And once we see the trailer, we'll start to get a sense of what are they going for with this movie. And then we can start taking some guesses. Right now, I wouldn't even want to venture a guess at this point. But I'm curious about it. I'm curious about this movie, especially with the casting that we've had. I am curious about it. Let's see. Anthony Cullen writes, "Your combat is pretty good. Web slinging needs work." He's talking about the live stream I did with Spider-Man. Yes, I did my first live stream yesterday of a play and chat, not playing World of Warcraft. Yesterday was my first play and chat live stream playing Spider-Man on PS4, a console. I sucked. I completely sucked at it. I got to Kingpin and I died like 5 times, maybe 4. Before finally beating Kingpin. I'm brutally bad. My combat is pretty good, but my web slinging needs work. As a guy who has no idea what I'm doing, Anthony, I will take your word for it, and I will try to work on my web slinging. Adam Douglas writes, "Do you read all emails sent to you or just skim them?" It depends. For the most part, I read all the emails that come in. I don't read any over the weekends. Like there's a window between Thursday afternoon and Sunday night where I don't really read any emails. Because what happens is Thursday afternoon, I start putting together the notes for Friday's show, right? Then once I'm done that, there is no show on Saturday, so I don't read any of the emails on Friday or Saturday, and then Sunday night, I start to read them. So I generally read all the email, but sometimes there's chunks of time when I don't read any. Not to mention, even when I am reading emails, if I get into an email and I see it's like this long, I just skip over it. Because I already know I can't use this email. Even if I like this email, I can't use it. So unless it's like a personal question to me, but a lot of times you guys still send in topics and they're like this long. And it's like, even if I wanted to use this email, I can't. I would never be able to fit it on our email graphic. That's why I keep saying every show, keep it to 90 words or less. I will also just skim over quickly and sometimes then just move on. If like I'm putting a show together and like we already have 2 comic book movie topics. And then I get to I read the next email. And as soon as I see it's a comic book movie topic, I just ignore it and move on because I don't want the John Campea show. I mean, hey, obviously I love comic book movies, but I don't want the John Campea show to be all comic book questions, right? So as soon as I see, if I already got like 2 topics in there that are comic book topics, and then I see the next emails about a comic book one, I just skip it. And I skip and skip and skip till I get one that's another good topic and then move on. But for the most part, yeah, I read all the emails that come into me. I do. And I get a lot. But I do read all the emails that come into me because I love getting emails from you guys, and I'm honored that you guys would send emails to me. Terry Schultz writes, have you watched Titans? It's actually pretty good. Nope, haven't watched Titans. I have no plans on watching Titans, at least for a while, because Titans is on the Warner Brothers streaming service, the DC streaming service, and I'm not paying for a new service to watch one show, especially a show that looks like shit. Now, I have heard from multiple people that Titans is actually pretty good, which is great, but it looked like shit, and I don't want to pay for a service for one show. So what I decided a while ago was once they start launching new original shows, in particular, what I'm really interested in is their Swamp Thing show. That I'm fascinated with. So once they get a few more things on that streaming service, then I will probably fork over the money to pay for it and watch it. And that's when I'll probably get around to watching Titans, but probably not before then. But you're not the first person to tell me, Tyler, that's actually not bad. So that's encouraging to hear, but I'm still not going to pay for another streaming service for one show. I'm just not going to do that yet. But damn, I am excited for Swamp Thing. Michael Anderson writes, Hugh Jackman is filming a movie called Bad Education in my town recently. Interesting true story about a school superintendent who essentially tricked our whole town and embezzled taxpayer money. Look into it when you get a chance. Ooh, that's interesting. I think I heard about that a while ago. I might have even talked about it on my show. I'm not really sure. Hold on a second. And it's called Bad Education. Is the one... Oh, it's not. I thought it was directed by somebody else. No, this is the one being directed by Corey Finley. So it's not the one I was thinking about. And Corey Finley also directed... that's the dude who directed Thoroughbreds. I liked Thoroughbreds. I like that a lot. So it's the same guy who directed Thoroughbreds. And Allison Janney is also in this movie, Bad Education. I love her. She just won the Academy Award for her role in I, Tonya. Which was great, and I enjoyed her in that a lot. So, yeah, I'm going to keep my eyes open for that. Look, Hugh Jackman, I've been talking about this a lot lately, but it's true. He is the best and pure entertainer in the world. I just don't think there's a better entertainer in the world than Hugh Jackman. He's infinitely likable. He's stupid good looking. He's Wolverine and Jean Valjean all at once. He is the greatest showman. He can sing, he can dance. He's a world-class singer, world-class actor, Broadway's quality dancer. He's just like the man. And I am dying to see, he's got, other than Bad Education, he's got this other movie called Frontrunner that's directed by Jason Reitman. I'm very excited to see that. I still haven't seen that one, but I'm very excited to see it based on the true story about Gary Hart and the political, when he was running for president. I'm a sucker for these based on true story movies. I loved Thoroughbred, so I'm excited that the director is directing this, and I love Hugh Jackman as an actor. So this movie's got me written all over it, Michael. This movie has me absolutely written all over it. I cannot wait to see this, and that's cool that he's shooting it in your hometown, so that's awesome. All right. Daryl Best Wadley writes, Scar got to rule Pride Rock from Simba's childhood to his adulthood. Even though he had a gruesome end, would you say he won? He was king like he wanted. I don't know that you'd say that he won. Look, in a lot of movies, there is a period of time where it appears the bad guy has won, right? You can say the same thing about Star Wars, except instead of for a year or two, it was actually like decades and decades and decades that the Emperor actually took over the galaxy. But in the end, the good guys prevailed. With one of the interesting things about Lion King is they never do suggest how much time. Remember, lions don't age the same way humans do. So Simba didn't go from that age to the age that he was when he returned to Pride Rock in 25 years, like us. Like lion cubs go from cub size to full grown size much, much faster. So, I don't know. I mean, it could have been 2 years that he was gone, right? Could have been 2 years. Could have been a year and a half. Well, probably not a year and a half, but I mean, so I don't know. I would still say, like, in the end, though, what he had was torn away from him and he was killed. So, no, I don't think you say he won. Look, let me give you a sports analogy. Remember the Super Bowl a couple years ago? Atlanta Falcons were up by like, what, 27 or something like that? Could you say the Atlanta Falcons won? No, because by the time the final whistle blew, the New England Patriots had come back and won the game. In the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history, the Patriots won. Yeah, but there was a good period of time there where Atlanta was winning, so can't you say that they won? Nope, because it matters about how you end. It matters about how you cross the finish line. So, I mean, look, if they say that Scar ruled for 30 years and was old and gray and was about to die anyway before they finally took it back from him, maybe you could make an argument for that. But Scar was still Scar, right? By the time, so I would say no. Let's see. Alexander Helmer writes, Love Actually is my favorite Christmas movie. Thoughts? Well, I've got too many other Christmas movies, Alexander, that I would put way ahead of it, but I like Love Actually. It's a great ensemble kind of movie. It's a feel-good movie. It's got more heart to it than you might think initially on the surface. It's a movie that doesn't get enough credit. I mean, it's weird to say that because most people, when you talk about Love Actually, will go, oh yeah, I like that. Like most people enjoy Love Actually. So it's hard to call it underrated. So I won't say it's underrated, but it's probably doesn't get enough credit that it's due. It's heartwarming, it's endearing, it's charming, it's funny, it's feel good. Yeah, I like it. Like I said, for me, I wouldn't put it on my like top 5 favorite Christmas movies list, but I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it quite a bit. It's been a while since I've seen it, to be honest. Anyway, Daryl Best Wadley writes, ever seen Basketball? One of my favorite comedies. I actually just talked about Basketball. I feel like 2 weeks ago I talked about Basketball. From the guys who do South Park. It's clever. And what's the name of the blonde girl? Jenny McCarthy? I think Jenny McCarthy is in it with them. Anyway, it is a funny movie. It's not in my personal top 10 favorite comedies, but it's a funny movie. If you haven't seen Basketball, the poster is ridiculous. It's like there are these two the guys. It looks like an 80s comedy, to be honest with you. But if you haven't seen Basketball, give it a shot. You might enjoy it. KW Garrett writes, your 2008 comedy list was good. One omission, Happy Timers. Yeah, I realized that after I did the show. I loved it and sad it made no money. Will you release the rest of your interview with the film writers? I have misplaced the rest of my interview with the film writers. Here's what happened. This is what KW Garrett's talking about. I thought that the trailer for Happy Time Murders was hilarious. So look, we've all seen lots of trailers to comedies that look hilarious and they turn out being awful. So even though I loved the trailer for Happy Time Murders, I didn't know that I was expecting all that much from the movie. Anyway, I go to the press screening for Happy Time Murders because it was just up there. It was right up the street from where my office is now. It was very close. Normally I don't go to a lot of press screenings anymore because it's not worth the time, but I did go to that one because it was close. And I go into the theater and I run into this publicist. She doesn't work for one of the major studios. She works for she worked for her own kind of publicist agency. And I've known her for a few years and I hadn't seen her in a while. So I go over and talk to her and I'm like, hey, we give each other a big hug. And it's like, I said, what are you doing here? She goes, well, I'm here for Happy Time Murders. I'm like, are you repping the movie? Like, because last time I checked, she didn't work for us too. She goes, no, I'm the publicist for the 2 writers on the movie. I'm like, really? I said, that's really cool and interesting. She goes, yeah, they're actually here for the screening too, because they want to see how people react to it and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, that's great. Wonderful. Good for you, sort of thing. And she's delightful. So anyway, I go in and watch the movie. I loved it. I know it got trashed by a lot of critics. I don't care. I loved the movie. So, as soon as the movie was done, and the end credits are really fun to watch. The end credits show them how they did some of the scenes in the movie. So I stayed through a bunch of the end credits. And when the lights came up, I realized that the writers were gone. So I run out of the theater. Anne was with me. I run out of the theater to try to catch her. And I caught her. I said, you've got to introduce me to these guys because I loved this movie. So she introduces me to the writers, the guys who created the story. And I'm like, are you guys free tomorrow? Can you come down? I got a studio that I do some work in up the street. Can you guys come into Hollywood tomorrow? And I asked the publicist, can they come in tomorrow and just sit down and do an interview with me? So she goes, yeah. So they come in and we sit down. We do about a 10-minute interview. I take about 2 minutes of that interview and I put it in the John Campea show the next day saying, I'm going to put up the full interview later. And I lost it. I lost the full interview. I still to this day, I don't know what happened to it. It was not on the drive I thought it was on. So at least I got the 2 minutes of the interview up, which was really good. And you're right, that was an omission on my part. I loved Happy Time Murders. Unabashed. I don't care who hates it. I don't care what the Rotten Tomatoes rating on it is. I personally loved it. I laughed myself stupid that whole movie. I had a great time with it. I really did. Okay. Let's see here. Senpaigar writes, do you think Kylo still has Vader's helmet? I'm going to guess no, because I'm trying to remember if the helmet was in his chambers on Starkiller Base or if it was in his chambers on that Star Destroyer. Because if it was in his chamber on the Star Destroyer, then he very well theoretically could still have it. I'm going to guess yes. Though I'm not remembering it clearly, and I have to go back and see that again. I'm going to guess yes. I'm going to guess that yes, he still has the helmet. Okay, let's move on here. Senpaigar writes again, if we believe there is even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, then we have to take it as an absolute certainty from Batman vs. Superman. I love that line. And that line in that movie perfectly embodied Batman's philosophy and why he felt the way he did. Because even though we knew as audiences that Superman was a good, noble person and there was 0% chance he was their enemy, Bruce Wayne didn't know that. A lot of people didn't know that. And the fact of the matter is, if this one being has the ability to wipe out everybody in the world, then it makes sense what he says. If there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, then we have to take it as an absolute certainty. It was a wonderfully written scene. And one of the reasons why, even though some other people poo-poo on it, I really like Batman versus Superman. I understand it had its problems. I'm not going to disagree. It had its problems. But that one scene was kind of indicative of some of the real smarts that was in the movie. And I love that scene and I love that line. All right. Spencer Smothers writes, with all the talk of the different types of audiences that Lion King will draw out to the theaters, can it beat the opening weekend box office record? It can, but I'm going to guess no, and here's why. I am kind of looking at the Lion King v. Avengers Infinity War the same way I'm looking at Mary Poppins v. Aquaman. Aquaman, Avengers Infinity War. These comic book movies are the movies that we as film fans tend to rush out to see right away. Like, if we don't see these movies in the first 10 days that they're in theaters, we basically don't go see them, right? We all rush out to see them the moment they drop. The family films or family-friendly films tend not to have that same sense of urgency on them. So, like, I'm predicting I'm just guessing, but my prediction is that Aquaman will have a bigger opening weekend than Mary Poppins will. But I'm also predicting that in the long run, Mary Poppins, by the end of its run, will make more money than Aquaman overall. I also believe that Avengers Infinity War will have a much bigger opening weekend than, say, Lion King will. But I believe I think it's a coin toss. I think it's a 50-50 chance that by the end of that year, Lion King has made more money than Avengers Infinity War. I think it's too close to call, but I think it's a definite possibility. So I'm going to say no. I don't think Lion King can beat that opening weekend box office record, because while there will be some people rushing out to see it opening weekend, it's not the kind of movie like an Aquaman, like a Justice League, like an Avengers Infinity War that tends to get the people who are going to go see it try to rush out to see it right away. And I don't think Lion King's going to have that on it. So I'm going to guess no. I still believe Lion King could be the number one film of 2019 over Avengers Infinity War, but I do not think it has a shot at beating the opening weekend box office. I think it's going to have longer legs, than the other films were. So that's my guess. Let's see. Senpaigar writes in again and writes, love the scene when the First Order officer tells Kylo that the droid escaped in a ship. Kylo goes nuts on the computer. Anything else? There is so much they did with that. One of the what that scene reminds me a lot of too. I love The Force Awakens. I think The Force Awakens is great. I remember me and John Schnepp, because our studio was right across the street from the AMC Burbank 16. And there was like a 2-week window there where me and John Schnepp went 3 or 4 times to watch The Force Awakens again, just because we loved it that much. And every time we went to go see it, we liked it more. Like every time Schnepp and I went to go see The Force Awakens, we liked it better and better more than the last time we saw it. And that's the case with me still to this day. Every time I watch The Force Awakens, I appreciate it even more than I did. But at any rate, one of that scene you're mentioning, Senpaigar, reminds me a lot of the other scene in there where he's freaking out. You get the stormtroopers walking around the corner and they hear Kylo Ren's in a mood and they just kind of turn around and walk the other. I love that. I thought that was great. So yeah. Demetrius Dinda writes, do you think we'll ever get a statement from DC saying that Ben and Cavill are out, or will they wait until they're ready to recast for new future films? Yeah, I don't think there's ever going to be an official announcement. They will announce it by announcing somebody else is in the role. That's how they're going to. Other than that, at this point, I don't believe they're ever going to say anything. Honestly, because there's no upside. What's the point? If you're Warner Brothers right now, what is the upside? Like, Ben Affleck is not your Batman anymore. What is the upside to putting out an official statement saying Ben Affleck's not our Batman anymore? What's the upside of doing that? There is none. It's just going to create a firestorm. What if I'm the head of Warner Brothers, this is what I do. Well, first of all, if I was the head of Warner Brothers, Ben Affleck would still be Batman. He would still be directing a Batman movie. He would still be writing a Batman movie, but there's no use crying over spilt milk. But if I was the head of Warner Brothers right now, what I would do is I would say nothing. And then when it comes time to announce who the new Batman is, you let that news drown out the Ben Affleck part. Because let's say, I don't know, for argument's sake, I'm trying to think of a guy who's a good, let's say Ryan Gosling. I'm just pulling a name out of my ass here, okay? Let's say Ryan Gosling's the new Batman, all right? What I do is, when it comes time to announce Ryan Gosling as the new Batman, you say nothing about Ben Affleck. You just say, we're so thrilled that the next actor to wear the mantle of the Bat is Ryan Gosling. Okay, so in doing that, you've kind of just confirmed that Ben Affleck is no longer your Batman, and nobody will have time to focus on the fact that Ben Affleck's not your Batman, because we're all going to be talking about Ryan Gosling's the new Batman, and it's going to drown out the Ben Affleck thing, so you never had to deal with the backlash, at least in a big level. So yeah, I don't see Warner Brothers. Number one, I don't see them ever doing it. Number two, I don't see why they would do it. There is simply no upside to it for them. All it's going to do is put it right to the forefront, get everybody bitching and moaning about it. And why do that? Just employ your current strategy of just keep quiet and let it die out. And that's pretty much what it's been doing. There are still people talking a little bit about it, but fewer and fewer people are talking about it every day. So what's the point? So I don't expect it. I don't expect it. Let's see. Where are we at? Patrick Conway writes, can D'Onofrio and Cox appear in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., C&D, and Runaways? No, they can't. Because those iterations of those characters belong to Netflix. So it is my understanding, and I could be wrong about this, by the way, but it is my understanding that those characters are done. You're not going to see D'Onofrio's Kingpin anymore. You're not going to see Charlie Cox's Daredevil anymore. I think we'll see Daredevil again. I think we'll see Kingpin again, but I think there'll be new iterations of them with new actors. They're a completely new incarnation of them. They'll have nothing to do with the Netflix series, and you'll see them as a part of the MCU. At least Daredevil. We're going to see him as a part of the MCU. That's my guess. That's what I'm thinking at this point. All right. Where are we at here? Martin Volek. Where'd Martin go? There he is. Martin Volek writes, John, I love Dragon Ball Z as much as you love Star Wars. It's in my DNA. Considering your love for Marvel/DC as well, I'm wondering why Dragon Ball/Dragon Ball Z doesn't work for you. I'm not going to answer that, Martin, because nothing I can say will not come across as argumentative to you. What I have learned over my years as a film fan is when somebody who really loves something, and I'm not saying you're like this, Martin. I'm not saying you're like this. I'm just saying this has been my experience over the years. When I've got a film fan who really loves something I don't like, and they say to me, tell me why you don't like it. Justify to me why you don't like it. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, Martin. I'm just saying I have learned that there is no right answer you can give in that situation. There is nothing I can say that will satisfy or appease somebody. Like when somebody tells me they don't like Star Wars, I'll never go, well, why don't you like Star Wars? I'll never say that. I'll never say that. You don't like it because you don't like it. Your reasons are your own, and you don't need to justify to me why you don't like something. Just like I don't need to justify to you why I don't like something, right? So anything I say right now about why Dragon Ball Z does not work for me, all it will do is make people unhappy at me. Because I'll say one thing, and then I'll get a whole bunch of people try to argue with me about that. Or then I'll say another thing, and I'll just get a bunch of emails from people trying to argue with me about that. So there's no point. There's no point. Except to say, I celebrate. If you love Dragon Ball Z, that's great. I got many friends who love Dragon Ball Z. Actually, I remember my friend who introduced me to Dragon Ball Z was in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I think he still lives there. His name's David Zbart. That's really his name, Zbart. David Zbart is one of the absolute funniest human beings I've ever met in my life. Just one of the greatest guys I've ever known. And he loved this thing, Dragon Ball Z. And it's like, Campea, you got to watch this Dragon Ball Z. So I watched a whole ton of shit of Dragon Ball Z with David Zbart. It just didn't work for me. But like I said, I got lots of friends who love it, and I celebrate that you love it, and that's great. And I'm not going to sit here and go into why I didn't. Because it's a no-win situation for me. No matter what I say, it's going to be the wrong thing to say. And so, no, I'm not going to go there, Martin, except to say, I'm glad you like it. Murray Reich writes, John, do you think the Patriots have leaked the video of Chiefs running back Kareem Hunt? Just kidding. Here's the funny thing, and I probably shouldn't even say this, but to hell with it. For those of you who don't know, and just bear with me for a second here, okay? For those of you who do not know, Kareem Hunt is this superstar running back on the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs, who the New England Patriots have already beaten this year. Just want to throw that out there. But the Kansas City Chiefs, who will be my New England Patriots' number one obstacle to getting to the Super Bowl this year. What happened was, what I had heard was, this video came out showing Kareem Hunt assaulting and kicking a woman in some hotel or casino video footage. For those of you who have watched me for any period of time, you know, right or wrong, the notion of men committing violence against women is a hot button for me. To me, there's a special level in the circles of hell for men who lay their hands on women. That's just the way I feel. Maybe it's old-fashioned. Maybe it's whatever. And, I told a story. I remember there was whispers around my neighborhood. See, in Canada, we just dealt with this shit. Because I remember whispers going around my neighborhood about a guy in the neighborhood who beat up a woman. And you know what? The community took care of that. Because we had no time for people who did that. So you can go straight to hell. In my opinion, if you're a man who lays hands on a woman, you can go straight to hell. I have relatives, women relatives, who have been the victims of abuse from men. You do that again to somebody in my family. Let's say I got a whole lot of Italian family, and I'm just going to end this sentence there. I have no patience and no tolerance for men who lay hands on women. Period. End of statement. You can think what you want of that. I don't give a flying fuck what you think about that. That's how I feel. So when I heard about this Kareem Hunt thing, and I'm just being honest with you here, okay? I'm just being completely honest with you. I'm like, to hell with that guy. Assaulting and kicking a woman, to hell with that guy. And he's on the Kansas City Chiefs. I like the Kansas City Chiefs, but not when they're standing in the way of my Patriots getting to the Super Bowl. And he's their superstar running back. So I'm like, yeah, well, good then, too. It's a double good. I'm glad this guy's, and, he's been suspended and the team cut him and all this kind of stuff. Understanding everything I just said, I could not help myself but to look up the video and see what this guy did. Maybe because I was looking for an excuse to hate him even more. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you what. I watched the video. Here's what I saw. Kareem Hunt was standing there, and this woman comes very aggressively right up into his face. Like, she comes into camera, gets right up into his face. And he did not punch the individual who came up into his face. He did not kick the individual. He, I think very reasonably, pushed the person out of his space. Hey, if somebody comes aggressively up to you, angry, and gets right up in your face, I think the reserved response is just to shove them back. Because you easily could have punched them in the mouth, easily could have done whatever, but he shoved them back. Then there's somebody another guy kind of scuffles, gets pushed, and that guy inadvertently bumps into the woman, and she falls down. Okay, that was inadvertent. I think that's clear on the video. That was inadvertent. And then what happens is Kareem Hunt, unless I'm not remembering this right, but I watched it like 2 or 3 times, Kareem Hunt went up to the girl and gave her, he kicked her, but when you watch it, there was clearly no intent to injure or harm. It was more like one of those F you and give her like a tap with his foot, like, yeah, like sort of thing, right? From what I watched, there was clearly no intention to harm or injure the person. It was more like a statement, like, because this woman got up in his face and blah, blah. So I am the guy who is hypersensitive about asshole men who commit violence against women. Special circle in hell for those losers. And I would love Kareem Hunt to be off the Kansas City Chiefs so my Patriots can get to the Super Bowl. But I'm just being honest. I watched the video myself, and when I watched the video, I kind of sat there and went, maybe there's more to this that I don't know. Maybe there's more to this than what I saw, which is totally possible. But what I saw was, did he act with great wisdom? No. Did he act in such a way that he should be fired from his team and blah, blah? I don't know about that. I don't know. I honestly felt, and again, there might be a lot more to this that I don't know about, but just from what I saw, I thought he could have exhibited more wisdom, but it also seems like he conducted himself with a degree of restraint. So I don't know. I don't know. This is why I'm not the one making those decisions, right? But it was an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing, and it challenged my worldview a little bit. It challenged the way I'm usually very trigger happy about any kind of reports of men committing violence against women. There's no place for that shit. But yeah. Anyway, there's that. Let's see. Adam Douglas writes, Unbreakable did 248 million and Split did 278 million. Do you see Glass topping 300 million? Any chance it hits 400 million? Right now it's tracking 67 million opening weekend. Yeah, I do think it goes over 300. And I think it can approach 400. This is a very anticipated movie in certain circles. And this is also a movie that's getting more marketing push than either of those other two films did. All right, than either of those other two films did. It's getting much more marketing. It had a big Comic-Con release, and everybody talked about Glass. The new trailers have been sharp and great. The fact that they're now manifesting the result of making Split tie into Unbreakable, and our result is Glass, and everybody's pumped about it. So yes, I absolutely do see it topping 300. And 400 to me is certainly within the realm of possibility. It's not going to be a $700 or $800 million movie, and that's fine. But I think 400 million is within the realm of possibility. Okay, Senpaigar writes, I still want to know how Maz got Anakin's saber. Yeah, I mean, how did you get this? That's a story for another time. Really? Like when? When, Maz? When are you going to tell us this story about how you came into possession of Luke Skywalker's lightsaber? I believe they said they're going to address it, or maybe they even have addressed it already in one of the novels. I gave up on the Star Wars novels. There's a few great ones, but for the most part, they're just money grabs. Anyway, I kind of gave up on the Star Wars novels, but there are great ones. Lost Stars, fantastic. The one with Vader and Emperor, Dark Lords of the Sith, is that? I can't remember the name of the book. The one where Emperor and Vader go down on the planet. Anyway, that one's fantastic. Tarkin's really good, but then they put up a bunch of gibberish too. Anyway, so maybe they've already addressed that. But yes, at some point, in some form, be it a comic book, in a movie, maybe even in episode 9, in a novel somewhere, they've got to address that. I mean, that's a huge leap. How did anybody, let alone this one individual, Maz Kanata, come into possession of the lightsaber that got cut off of Luke Skywalker's hand? Right? How did she come into possession of that? That's a question that's got to be answered. Murray Reich writes, thoughts on the Elijah Wood film North? I'm not familiar with it, so I can't really answer that, Murray. Sorry about that. Senpaigar writes, watched Vanilla Sky with my wife the other night. It was an interesting movie. What do you think? Oh, I love Vanilla Sky. It's a little twisty. It's a little weird, too, for sure. But, I mean, first of all, let me just make sure we're talking about the Tom Cruise movie. Let me just make sure, because maybe I'm thinking of the wrong one. No, it's the Tom Cruise movie that he was in with Penelope Cruz. Yeah, I think it's a sharp movie. I thought it was really good. Definitely one worth watching. Absolutely. But again, a little twisty. A little bit twisty. Let's see. John DeBenedict writes, Campea, everybody relax. Avengers 4 isn't coming out for 5 months. Fans, but John, where's the trailer? In all seriousness, I agree with you. Look, again, I don't want anybody misinterpreting because I'm sure I'm going to be misquoted. I get the excitement for the Avengers 4 trailer. I get looking forward to the Avengers 4 trailer. I get looking at your watch and going, when are we getting the Avengers 4 trailer? I get all that. I get it, and I'm with you. It's just these people that I heard about and didn't believe they were real till I started to see it with my own eyes. These people are like, Disney's dropping the ball, man. How can Disney wrong us fans so much? We, the fans, have been... This is all real stuff, okay, that I've been reading. We've been supporting Disney. How dare they disrespect us like this by not giving us the trailer? I'm like, oh my fucking God, are you being serious right now? Seriously? 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 Like, I just couldn't believe it. And then I thought, okay, one random idiot, but it's not. It's like all these people. How dare Disney not give us the trailer? It boggles my mind. Boggles my mind. Let's see. Ben Rayner writes, did you know that Seth Rogen was considered for the role of Dwight in The Office? I never knew that. That would have been a very different Dwight. Now, Seth Rogen would have crushed it. I have no doubt whatsoever that Seth Rogen would have crushed the role of Dwight. But I also believe it would have been a very different kind of Dwight than what Rainn Wilson gave us. I thought Rainn Wilson as Dwight was, comedic gold. He was wonderful. Man, what a different career it would have meant for Seth Rogen. I think it's one of those situations where it probably all worked out. Seth Rogen did other things, was very, very successful in those other things. Rainn Wilson went on to be very, very successful as Dwight. It would have been interesting. But no, man, I had never heard that before. That's interesting. Senpaigar writes, I hope we get a cool Doctor Doom from Marvel. I'm honestly at the point where I really don't care what villain they use, because what I've learned is that it doesn't matter what villain you use. It's all about how you use that villain, right? It's all about how you use that villain. But I would say, I hope we get a cool whatever character they pull over. Like, I hope they give us a great Johnny Storm whenever they do a Fantastic Four. I hope they give us a great new Charles Xavier whenever they pull over X-Men. So, I'm kind of like, I hope they give us a cool insert any name of any character they're going to use when they come over. And Doctor Doom for me would definitely be on that list. Hands of Stone writes, are you ever going to write another book? Gosh, I would love to. I would love to write another book. Of course, my book, The Pride, I'm very, very proud of it. I'm super proud of that book. But it took me 5 years to do that book. And I am clearly not a prolific writer. Now, I'm sure if I did another one, it wouldn't take me 5 years this time, but still, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of dedication. And I would love to, but I would have to do it when I have the time to do that. And I just don't have time to write a book right now. I hardly have enough time to spend quality time with my wife. So I would love to. I just honestly don't know if I ever will. I hope to, though. It would be great. It was a fun experience. I would love to do it again if I ever actually had the chance. James LH writes, greeting from the UK, John. Recently you said about being thankful 3 seasons of Daredevil. I agree with you, but still getting over Cavill news than this. Yeah, it's true, but such is the circle of life, right? Things come, things go, and make room for new things to come and go, right? So we knew not everything, actually, it's not just not everything. Very, 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 very few things are going to have the staying power like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Hugh Jackman has played Wolverine for well over a decade. Almost 20 years. Maybe it was over 20. When did X-Men? Yeah, it was almost 20 years that he was our Wolverine. That's rare. That's super rare. So that means we're going to get people come as certain characters and certain shows and certain what they come and then they go. And that in the entertainment world is the entertainment world circle of life, right? And then it makes room for new shows and new characters to come in, and then they'll last for a certain period of time and then they'll go away. So yeah, I get it. I'm with you because Cavill's my favorite Superman of all time. I just loved Henry Cavill's Superman. I love Daredevil. But, as Captain Picard said, all good things come to an end. CK Gould writes, don't smash your PS4, get FIFA 19 and come play. I don't think I'm going to play a lot of the sports games, even though I'm totally into sports. I'm not that big into sports games, per se. I used to be when I was a kid. I used to love playing NHL and playing NBA and playing NFL and all that kind of stuff, but not that much anymore. Yeah, I've come very, very close to taking my PS4, smashing it into a million pieces, and then throwing those pieces out the window. Come very close to doing that because I am not a controller guy. I am a mouse and keyboard guy, but I'm trying to get the hang of it, my friend. I'm trying to get the hang of it. Let's see. Sharon Aurora writes, you're better at Spider-Man than I thought. Keep playing. Well, thank you so much for the kind words, Sharon. And those are definitely generous and kind words. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. All right. Hands of Stone writes, oops. And of course, the big leap. Holy crap. There's a lot of questions today. And we're still going backwards. Oh, crap. Seriously? Okay, here we are. All right. Hands of Stone writes, Queen's Flash Gordon or Prince's of the Universe. Woo! Princes of the Universe. Here we are, born to be kings. Yeah, I got to go with that one. Mostly because that one was used in one of my all-time favorite movies, The Highlander, with Sean Connery and Christopher Lambert. Love that movie, and I love the use of that song in it, so I'm going to go with that one. Santos Andujar writes, Who's better, Lady Gaga or Gal Gadot? Is that serious? Lady Gaga is clearly better. Clearly better. By a mile better. Now, look, to be fair, look, Lady Gaga, it's not like A Star is Born was the first thing that Lady Gaga did. She's been acting for a few years. And then they put her in a role in a movie of an aspiring singer. Okay, that's not that big of a stretch for a Lady Gaga, right? Anyway, let me pull something up here. Yeah, because Lady Gaga, she was in, I don't watch American Horror Story at all, but she did she did a recurring thing for American Horror Story. So there was that. And then a lot of people said they really liked her. And then she was in Sin City, A Dame to Kill For, which none of us shall talk about it. And then small roles and a few other things. But she's been acting for a number of years. Not a super experienced person, but whatever. But for whatever reason, in the hands of the right director, in this case, Bradley Cooper, she was, hey man, give her a due. She was freaking magnificent in A Star is Born. Absolutely magnificent. And she just won the National Board of Review, which is kind of the awards ceremony that kicks off award season. So the National Board of Review just gave her Best Actress of the Year. If I were an Academy member, I wouldn't give her Best Actress of the Year, but I'd make her a nominee. I'd make her a nominee. She was staggeringly good. Can she ever repeat that? I don't know. I don't know if Lady Gaga will ever again be as good in anything else as she was in A Star is Born. I don't know. I'm not saying she won't be. I'm just saying I don't know at this point. But if we're just talking about A Star is Born, it's an Oscar-level performance. Gal Gadot does not have that in her. She just simply does not have that in her. I think she's getting better, but I mean, it's a night and day difference. So yeah, that's an easy one. James L.H. writes, what do you think of Dread? I liked Urban's film. Red Rebellion has a new studio in the UK and are making a Dread series that have hired the talented Duncan Jones to direct a Rogue Troopers film. Well, there's a lot in there, James. First of all, I love Dread, right? I love Dread. Let me see if I can pull up something here. Okay, so I love Dread. As a matter of fact, a number of years ago at Comic-Con, this was right before Dread was coming out. Now remember, the trailers for Dread were not good. The trailers for Dread were simply not good. They were quite bad, and they were actually turning a lot of people off. A lot of people were getting turned off at the whole movie and everything. And I was doing my annual Masters of the Web panel at Comic-Con that year. And I was contacted by the studio that was doing Dread, and they said, hey, what would you think about having Carl Urban as your celebrity guest this year? And because we're going to be promoting his new movie Dread. Also, we've got our first screening of Dread is going to be at Comic-Con, is our very first public screening of Dread. And at that screening, we want to have, we're going to have Carl Urban do a Q&A for it. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, that sounds pretty cool. Even though I was a little bit nervous about how that movie was going to turn out. I was a little bit nervous with how that movie was going to turn out. I wasn't sure it was actually going to be any good, yada, yada, yada. So anyway, they were doing the screening of Dread the night before our panel with Carl Urban. And all I was thinking was, oh my God, please don't suck, please don't suck, please don't suck, because it's going to be a totally awkward panel tomorrow. Because I will not lie. If I don't like this Dredd movie, I'm not going to come out and go, well, Carl Urban, Dredd was great. And it's going to be awkward and weird. So please don't suck, please don't suck. So I go in to watch Dredd at its first public screening at Comic-Con, and we were all blown away. Everybody loved it. So thankfully, the next day when we did my panel at Comic-Con, and that's me and Carl Urban at my Masters of the Web panel at Comic-Con that year, I got to have Carl, and I got to moderate the Q&A for it after the screening. Then Carl came in and did my panel with me the next day, and thankfully it was all positive and love and joy because everybody freaking loved Dredd. Dredd was awesome, and we all loved it. So as far as what do I think about Dredd, I thought Dredd was great. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And Lena Headley was in it, and she's fantastic in it, and just great action. It's just balls to the wall, ridiculously violent. It's just fantastic. I love that movie. Anyway, they've been talking about doing a Dredd series for a long time, James. They've been talking about it for a long time, and now apparently the studio behind it has just picked up some space, and they're going to do some stuff. I had heard whispers about Duncan Jones, but I didn't know that was official. Maybe it is, and I just wasn't paying attention, but I didn't know that was official. Duncan Jones is, after Moon, he did Moon, and he did that one with Jake Gyllenhaal with the train that a lot of people liked. But after that, it's been a little bit of a struggle, right? He did Warcraft, which I enjoyed, but a lot of people didn't, and it didn't make nearly as much money as it should have. Then he did that one that was a straight-to-Netflix one that everybody hated, that sci-fi cyberpunk kind of one, and everybody hated it. It would be great to see Duncan Jones get back on a winning track. Winning cures everything. So it'd be great to see him come back on there. But yeah, I think a lot of people have just been kind of really wanting to see Dredd return. And now this is giving us an opportunity to see Dredd return. Okay, let's move on here. Connor Diaz writes, hey, John, love all that you do. Thank you so much, Connor. What is that colorless soda that you drink? I'm a big soda drinker and want to transition to calorie-less beverage. Well, thank you so much. This is actually, I don't think you're going to be able to see it without spilling it. This is also that clear soda. Here's the thing. Long time ago, I used to drink like 2-liter bottles of Coke per day. Then I realized, wow, that's going to kill me. So then I thought the best thing was to switch to diet. So I went from Coca-Cola to Diet Pepsi. I like the taste of Coke better, but when it comes to the diet sodas, I always prefer the taste of Diet Pepsi over Diet Coke for whatever reason. And then a while ago, I found out about just how bad for you diet sodas are. So I'm like, well, crap. I need to get off the diet soda. I need to get off these artificial sweeteners, but I love carbonated sodas, right? Somebody suggested to me this soda called Zevia. It's Zevia, Zevia. They come in a number of different flavors, and they don't use any sugars, and they don't use any artificial sweeteners. And so I kind of got on it. It's a little bit more expensive than regular soda, but I kind of got hooked on it, and now that's what I drink. Lots of water, and then Zevia. So there you go. That's what I drink. It's called Zevia. Go check it out. Cameron Turk writes, are you going to do a movie review for Mowgli? I doubt it. I don't know. Look, when it comes out on Netflix, it's coming out soon. Is it already out? When does Mowgli come out, actually? Hold a second. Mowgli. Netflix release date. When does it come out on Netflix? Oh, it's already out on Netflix. Apparently it came out the other day. I see. I didn't even know. I doubt it. If it already came out, I doubt it. It came out 3 days ago? No. Because I'm not going to get to watch it tonight, and I know I won't be able to watch it tomorrow. So the earliest I'll be able to watch it is like Tuesday. Then it's already been out for 5 days. Yeah, so no. I'll watch it, just because it's Andy Serkis directing it. And I love Andy Serkis. So I'll watch it, but no, I'm probably not going to do a review for it. Let's see. Edgar Navarro writes, currently watching the latest companion video on my laptop, watching this live on my phone, and hyping myself up for the Chargers to beat the Steelers. Are the Chargers... Wait, is it Chargers Steelers tonight? I thought the Chargers were playing somebody else. Man, that's a good game. That's a great game. I love Phillip Rivers. I always have. I've always loved Phillip Rivers, man. And he's having like the best year, one of the best at least, one of the best years of his career right now, which is awesome to see. Hasteno writes, Magneto from North Korean concentration camp in the MCU. I mean, we've talked about that before, right? We've talked about you either need to, you need to update the Magneto story, right? You need to update. It's just at an age now that he can't be the kid from the Jewish, he can't be from Auschwitz. It just can't. Because you're dealing with now an 80 plus 90-year-old Magneto. And that's not what they want to do. So you need to update the story. Korean War, possibly. American Civil Rights Movement, possibly. Something in one of the African nations, possibly. Something in the Eastern European things, maybe. But it's got to be something that happens in like the 60s, you know? Or the 50s or the 60s. It can't be much older than that yet. So that's definitely one of the options. That is definitely one of the options that will be on their plates. Let's see. Jared Lennon writes, Daredevil Season 3. Wow, great season again. Too bad it's canceled. That 11-minute long one take in the prison, though. They always kill it, Murdoch. It was great. I still prefer the one in like the motel. When he went in there looking for the girl and it goes in and out of the rooms. The hallway scene is what they called it. I still preferred that one. But yeah, the one in the prison was also great. It was great. It was a magnificent season. Daredevil Season 3 was just fantastic. Just loved it on almost every level. Could have done with the whole Karen backflash. Could have done without that thing. But other than that, magnificent season. And if it's over, what a great way to go out. What a great way to go out. And I just loved it. Let's see. Bernard Gayton writes, Miranda, girlfriend, and I love listening to you in the car. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Bernard. And special thank you to Miranda for letting you listen to it in the car. I don't know. Maybe you're the one who lets her listen to it in the car. I don't know. But thank you for sharing that. I'm glad you guys enjoy it. And thank you for making a nice comment. I appreciate that, man. All right. James Bonner writes, Black Friday haul, Shawshank, Green Mile, Close Encounters, and all 3 Back to the Future films, all for under $20. Wait a minute. Are you saying you bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 7? Oh, so sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Are you saying you got 6 movies for under $20, or are you saying you got each one of those for under $20? Either way, that's great. Shawshank is just... Look, you guys hear me talk about Shawshank all the time. To me, one of the 3 greatest movies ever made in Hollywood history. It is one of those films. I'm not one of these guys that believes you have to watch all these different films, but honestly, Shawshank is one of those to me that I just think everybody should see. If you want to have a real standard in your head about what excellence in filmmaking is, you got to see Shawshank Redemption. If you want to see what true excellence in filmmaking is, you got to see Shawshank Redemption, man. And I'm so glad you picked that one up. David Z on Live writes, beneath this mask, there is more than flesh. Beneath this mask, there is an idea, Mr. Creedy, and ideas are bulletproof. Love this quote. I can't remember what that's from, even though you're saying Mr. Creedy. Hold on a second. Let me look this up. Ideas are bulletproof. Is it a V for Vendetta thing? Hold on a second. I think it's V for Vendetta. Yes, it was V for Vendetta. Okay. Because I didn't know it at first, but I could totally hear Agent Smith's voice, and I'm freezing on Agent Smith's name right now, but I could totally hear his voice in it. Is that what it's from? Anyway, there you go. It's a great movie too, by the way. If you haven't seen V for Vendetta, watch V for Vendetta. Paul Baranek writes, have you watched / played God of War by any chance? As a matter of fact, I watched it. I watched like an 8-hour version of it online. I think I even did I did a review. I did a review on my YouTube channel of God of War. I haven't played it yet, but I watched the whole like 8-hour story. And what's great about the YouTube videos now of the cutscene movies of these games is it used to be just the cutscenes. People don't put... See, I get people saying, John, you can't actually fully get the story of a game because cutscenes don't carry all of it. I get that. But The people who put these together now, they'll also include all the relevant parts of the gameplay where story is actually being told. And that's why these things are no longer like 2.5 hours. They're like 8, 12 hours sometimes, right? So I saw the God of War thing. I think it was 8 to 10 hours long. And it wasn't just cutscenes. It was also a lot of gameplay where story is revealed. And it's magnificent. Just magnificent. I'm very excited about getting my hands on the game. Once I'm done Spider-Man 4, it's probably the next game I'll buy and download because it's actually like $30 now, so it's pretty cheap to get now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. James LH writes, about Rebellion, I always like to read about how new investment in the UK film and TV industry is creating jobs and hopefully new talent. Well, first of all, it's always great to see that anywhere, right? It's always great to see that anywhere, whether it's up there in Toronto, over in Vancouver, where there's had a lot of production, Atlanta, New Orleans has a lot of film development investment going on there, overseas, even in Hollywood. It's a big deal when they create new things to try to grow the industry. But especially when it's in your own backyard, right? Right, James? Like, it's especially when it's in your own backyard because it's a little bit closer to home. It means a little bit more to you and has a more practical effect as well. So yeah, I love that as well, man. I really do. Mark C. writes, is it me or is there no heat for the upcoming Captain Marvel film? No, I think there's heat. The problem is a lot of the attention right now is on Avengers 4, and that's just going to be the bane of any film coming out 2 months before Avengers 4. That's where a lot of the attention. Remember, this isn't like Black Panther. Black Panther was in the MCU before the Black Panther movie, right? Black Panther had a significant role to play in Captain America Civil War. And we got to see him in action. We got to see how badass he was and how great of a character he was. And we got to see all that. And then when they announced the Black Panther movie, it had a lot more going into it. I believe Captain Marvel is going to be perfectly fine. But right now, we have never seen Captain Marvel before. To a lot of people out there, a lot of people have never even heard of Captain Marvel before. Like, we all live in our little bubbles that we think, well, I know who Captain Marvel is and my buddies do, therefore everybody does. No. There's a hell of a huge chunk of the population that have never heard of Captain Marvel before. Have no idea who she is. And unlike Black Panther, who had the big advantage of appearing in the MCU before his standalone movie came, Captain Marvel is coming in cold. Captain Marvel's coming in cold. 2 months before Avengers 4 drops. It's a tall order. So Captain Marvel will be fine. Especially, we'll see a lot more. I'm predicting this trailer tomorrow that we're going to get tomorrow night is going to kick all sorts of ass and everybody's going to love it. And then we'll get a better gauge for it, but it's still going to suffer from the fact that we've never seen her in the MCU before and she's coming out 2 months before Avengers Infinity War. That's a double whammy right there. So I wouldn't read anything into that. I think it's going to have plenty of heat going into it, but it's going to be an uphill battle. No matter what it is, no matter what character you dropped in there, it was going to be an uphill battle. This is certainly one of them. All right. Dirk Diggler writes, happy holidays, John. Thank you so much, Dirk. I finally got to see Venom. Man, that is a good film. But the only issue I had was the end credit theme music montage after the rap music. Way too many themes, like over 25. I don't really remember. I mean, I remember the Eminem tune, which was surprisingly good to me. I remember that. I have a couple of issues with Venom. I thought it was a weak first act. I do. I think the first act was weak. I think they should have just handled that better. And a pretty throwaway protagonist, or antagonist, I should say. Didn't work that great for me. But it's that chemistry between Eddie Brock and the symbiote that just made that movie for me. Super enjoyable, all that kind of stuff. Honestly, when it comes to the music in the credits and stuff like that, who cares? Who cares? I pay no attention to it. Other than the Eminem track, because I heard so many people buzzing about it. I was anxious to see it, so then it came up and it played, and great. Yay. But, yeah, I'm not really worried about it. And, by the way, I didn't like the end credits scene. There's going to be carnage. I thought that was pathetic fan service. It just served no purpose. Like, okay, you want to have a scene with him in it, okay, but construct it a little bit better. And when I do, there's going to be carnage. Ooh, he said carnage. Ooh. it was like lame fan service. Fan service can be good. Fan service can be great. There's nothing wrong with fan service. But I thought that was a little bit lame. But yeah, I'm glad you have finally got a chance, Dirk, to get out there, check out the movie. I had a lot of fun with it. Far more fun than I thought I would. Not top 5 movie of the year or anything like that, but a lot more fun than I thought. And it all for me came down to that great dynamic between Eddie and the symbiote. That's what made the movie for me. That's what put the biggest smiles on my face. And that's what had me giggling throughout most of the film. I had a really good time with it. PGML writes, I worship the corporate overlords. Well, to one degree or another, PGML, I think we all do to one degree or another, regardless of how much we want to admit it. Mike Thompson writes, playing devil's advocate here, there have been a lot of rumor-based sites out there like CBR and Cosmic Book News that have been getting, I'm going to go down, see if Mike picks that up. I don't see it anywhere. Okay. That have been getting. All right, maybe we'll come across a little bit later. Sebastian writes, I hope the leaks are fixed at your new studio soon. Me too, man. Now, fortunately, after that one day of torrential downpour rain, like I haven't seen rain like that in Los Angeles since I've lived here. There has been no rain. We're not supposed to get any till later next week. And hopefully by then, the owners of the building will fix the roof. I mean, because it's dangerous. You get that much electrical equipment in there, it just gets dangerous. So fingers crossed, man. We will be back in the studio tomorrow. The John Campea show will be done from my studio tomorrow. And by the way, giving you guys a little bit of a heads up, because we had so much fun doing it the other day, and because he just happens to be free tomorrow, Robert Meyer Burnett is going to be back in studio this Tuesday, or not this Tuesday, tomorrow. So he will be in there tomorrow, which is great. And it's going to be fun to have him. And I'm only going to tell you guys this, but I'm very excited about this. Every once in a while, I bump into a lot of people. But a couple of the guys I really like, I always say, I don't like trailer reactions because they're this and this. And I said, I always say, but there are a couple of those trailer reactors out there that I do really enjoy. And I get a lot out of watching them. For the most part, I'm not really big into trailer reactions. I think a lot of them are forced and faked and contrived and orchestrated and all that kind of stuff. But whenever I mention that, I always say, but there are a couple that I really like. One of the trailer reaction channels that I really do enjoy, and I have for a long time, are the Real Rejects. I've always enjoyed those guys. Of course, it's Greg and John, right? I've always enjoyed them. This coming Thursday, Greg Alba is going to be joining me on the John Campea show. And I'm very excited about it because I bump into Greg every once in a while and we always will stop and chat. And I just tell him I'm a big fan of his. He tells me he's a big fan of me. Yeah. But so I reached out to him and I said, hey, this week you want to come in and do the John Campea show with me? And he said, absolutely. So this Thursday, Greg Alba is going to come in and do the John Campea show with me, which I'm really excited about. I'll be honest with you. I'm really, really excited about it. Okay. Let's move on from there. Film Boss writes, there it is. Film Boss writes, kind of frustrating that people slam Avatar for just being Pocahontas in space, but one could easily say Lion King is just Hamlet with lions. It's an easy way to slam a movie you don't like. Well, I mean, look. Yes and no. There's a difference between having similarities and all that kind of stuff. There's a difference between having similarities and being like a shot for shot, plot point by plot point reinventing. To the point that even James Cameron himself admitted, and James Cameron said that basically Avatar is Dances with Wolves in space. And he's not wrong. Dances with Wolves is a plot point by plot point recreation of Dances with Wolves, and to some degree a recreation of Pocahontas and a couple of other films, right? And James Cameron himself has said that. I don't think that makes the movie any less good, right? I don't think it detracts from the quality of the movie. I still enjoy. I never thought it was Best Picture of the year. Like, I never thought for a moment that Avatar should win Best Picture, but I was totally good with it being nominated for Best Picture. I absolutely was. So I was cool with that. I was fine with that. I think it is a fair criticism to say it's a shot by shot because even James Cameron himself kind of acknowledges that it is, right? But that doesn't make it a bad movie. That doesn't make it a bad movie. Look, the first Fast and the Furious movie is a direct shot-by-shot, plot point by plot point ripoff of Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze's movie Point Break. But that's not what made Fast and the Furious a bad movie. I think Fast and Furious, the first one, is a bad movie. I don't know why anybody likes it, but whatever, all film's subjective and that's fine. But it's not the fact that it's a plot point by plot point ripoff of Point Break that I think makes it a bad movie. It frustrates me as a fan of Point Break that they just blatantly ripped it off, but I don't think that had anything to do with the quality of the movie. You can be a ripoff of another movie and still make it quality. Avatar, even if it is Dances with Wolves in Space, is a great movie. It's a great movie. It shouldn't have won Best Picture, and I'm glad that it didn't, but I was totally good that it was nominated for Best Picture, and because I think it did deserve that nomination. Joseph A. Reinhard writes, have you seen Slow West starring Fassbender? No, I haven't seen that one, as a matter of fact. Let's see. I don't know what that symbol is, but love the concept of dark futures in fiction. Heroes, The Flash, and famously X-Men have all shown this. Do you have a favorite example of this? Well, probably Terminator. Probably Terminator. Is because the Terminator one is the one that feels like it could most actually happen like any minute now. Like at any moment, my computer is going to become self-aware and launch an attack to eradicate humanity off the face of the earth. There's something terrifying about the Terminator one. So I like all the ones you mentioned for sure, but to me, the most terrifying one to me is has got to be the Terminator one for sure. All right. Joe Byram writes, I'm not going to kill you. I want you to do me a favor and tell your friends about me. What are you? I'm Batman. Oh, I'm Michael Keaton. Or like I saw this one guy do the meme once. Who are you? I'm Mr. Mom. Because remember he also played Mr. Mom? Anyway. Great one. It's the first time in the cinematic universe, in all of cinema, that we got to hear somebody say, I'm Batman. That was the first time in a big movie we ever got to hear that say. Legitimately by the actual Batman. So that was a great moment. Rama 30 writes, this just in, Marvel fans are so upset over no Avengers 4 trailer that they're disliking all other Marvel videos. Just wow. Oh no, it's true. It's crazy. I heard that, right? And I'm like, no, people aren't that pathetic. People aren't that big of a loser. People aren't there. We make fun and we joke around that there are losers of that magnitude out there, but they can't really exist. Oh my God, they exist. Because I've already seen slews of fans vowing that when the Captain Marvel trailer drops, they're going to try to organize everybody to go and dislike the video, go and dislike the trailer. Why? Because it's not the Avengers 4 trailer. Oh my God, you are pathetic. You're pathetic. Now, if you watch the Captain Marvel trailer and you go, I didn't like that trailer, I'm going to click dislike. No problem. That's fair game. Totally fair. Totally fair. Why are you planning on clicking dislike on that video tomorrow? Because I want the Avengers 4 trailer, and I'm a privileged, crybaby, overspoiled loser, and they're not giving me what I want, so I'm going to go show my displeasure and click dislike and try to ruin things for everybody else, because I'm a fucking loser. Anyway. Again, no problem. If you watch the trailer, go, that trailer's not so good. Dislike, no problem. That's fine. That's all fair game. But holy shit, man. Holy shit. I wouldn't have believed that there would be that huge of a contingency of loserness in our film fan community, that there are actually people Like overprivileged crybaby little bitches going, you're not giving me that trailer first, so I'm going to click dislike on your other stuff. I just can't believe that's not a fictitious thing. Like, I hear about that and you think, no, that's like Santa Claus. They're not real. People talk about it, but there's not really people like that. Oh my God, there are. Oh my God, there are. And it just makes me want to live that Captain Jean-Luc Picard meme you see all over the internet. You know, that should be the rest of film fandom. We should all be collective Jean-Luc Picards when we see that and going, holy shit, we as a species are fucked. We're so screwed as a species. These people should not be allowed to breed and spread their genes. Oh my God. And again, let me repeat it a third time because it's very important. I take no issue with anybody who watches the trailer and goes, oh, I didn't like it. Dislike. That's the way it's supposed to work. Perfect. But this whole thing about people organizing themselves to go out and hit dislike on a video prior to seeing it because it's not the order in which they wanted the piece of corporately designed manipulation to come out and hit them. It's pathetic. There's no other way to say it. It's absolutely pathetic. So anyway, I just can't believe like people that stupid exist. I just cannot believe that level of stupidity actually exists. But whatever. Let's see. Light Runner 87 writes, check out the Fate Stay Night Heavens Feel Part 1 movie. If Part 2 and 3 are good as this one, it should be in the conversation for best trilogies. I have no idea what we're talking about, Light Runner. I apologize about that, but I really have no idea what we're talking about there. I'm sorry, dude. I don't know what it is. Fate and Stay Night Heavens Feel. I have no idea what that is. I'm sorry, dude. Zombitron5678 writes, once you wondered why Michael, The Office, wasn't in more of the series finale. Turns out Steve Carell didn't want to return, and that cameo was last minute. I mean, regardless, you had him there, but most of his presence, he didn't speak. Like, he's in a number of shots. He's in a number of shots in that thing. But he didn't say anything. He only spoke in one shot. It's like if you got Steve Carell there, and you can't do the series finale without Steve Carell. You can't do the series finale without Steve Carell. If you're going to have them there, I'm not saying he should have been the central figure of the episode, but to speak in one shot, that really felt weird to me. That felt very, very weird. Anyway, Mike Thompson writes, oh, this is the second part. Okay, let me scroll up for a second to see Mike's first part again. There it is. Mike wrote, playing devil's advocate here, there have been a lot of rumor-based sites out there like CRB or CBR and Cosmic Book News that have been getting, there we go, people's hopes up by saying trailer coming on such and such a day 3 times a week for a month now. I can understand some folks getting frustrated. I don't, because if you're stupid enough to listen to Cosmic Book News, then you deserve that. I don't know why anybody would listen to anything out of Cosmic Book News. I just don't. Always check. I'm not trashing on anybody's opinion, but for people pretending to be giving scoops, I mean, just there's no track record there. You shouldn't be listening to it anyway. So no, I do not consider that an excuse. I don't consider that an excuse whatsoever. Why are you getting frustrated at that? Because Cosmic Book News said this. Then there's your problem. Why are you listening to anything that comes out of Cosmic Book News? I have no idea. So there's the problem right there. Light Runner writes, also, over under 25%, Captain Marvel is a bomb. Oh, 0. That's 0%. 0%. To call something a bomb or a flop means it has to lose money. There's a 0% chance that Captain Marvel is going to lose money. No chance at all. None. This movie will make over $400 million in its sleep. Now, I thought the same thing about Justice League. I thought Justice League would make $1 billion in its sleep, and it fell way short of that. But come on, there is no way that Captain Marvel is going to make under $400 million. And it's the moment it gets 1 penny over $400 million, it's pretty much profitable. So I believe it's an absolute 0 chance that Captain Marvel is a flop. No way. Let's see. Ant Banks 1984 writes, just imagine when Marvel releases the Avengers 4 trailer. It says Avengers 4, May 2019, no footage, just a screen release. Geeks will melt in agony. Okay, look, they did that. You know, I keep hearing this BS of people saying Marvel is trolling their fans. No, they're not. They just haven't put out a trailer yet for a movie that doesn't open for over 5 months. But if Marvel did that, even I would have to go, yeah, okay, Marvel's trolling their fans now. Even I would have to go, yeah, there's no denying it now. Now Marvel is definitely trolling fans. If they put out the first trailer, it's just and it's just, then black screen this, coming May 2019, Avengers 4. Black screen again, and that's it? Yeah, people will lose their minds. And at that point, even I will go, I can't blame you now. Now, even I can't blame you if you're getting upset at this. So I do not think that's what they're going to do on Wednesday, but oh my God, if they did, it would be anarchy. Gabe Schembarger writes, Counterpart season 2 is out in a week. Best show on TV. I've never seen a single episode. That's the one with J.K. Simmons, right? That's right. And it was on a network that I never saw, but then somebody just told me season 1 is on Netflix. I need to check that out because I was wanting to see that, but again, it was on a network that I didn't have. I wasn't going to pay just to get that one show, blah, blah, blah. But I've been wanting to see it. And then somebody told me on the show the other day that season 1 is on Netflix. So, and then I totally forgot about it. I got to get over there and watch that because I've been excited because it's J.K. Simmons, right? So I got to check that out. So thanks for reminding me, Gabe. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. Rama 30 writes, Killmonger had more swagger than any comic villain I've seen on screen, and they killed him. Well, yeah, Killmonger had to go. I mean, look, if you look at Black Panther, there was no other narrative out for Killmonger. He had to die. And that was the inevitable thing. Just because you have a great villain doesn't mean you should not kill them off. Like, it's not like a Darth Maul situation from The Phantom Menace. The problem wasn't so much that they killed, and then now we know he didn't really die, but the problem was never that they killed off Maul in The Phantom Menace. It was that they so underused him. That's what bothered a lot of people. But he was there enough to make him like a really beloved character, but he was really underused in The Phantom Menace. You can't say that about Killmonger in Black Panther. Killmonger was not underused in Black Panther. He was a pivotal central character of that movie. And yeah, narrative-wise, it was the way to go. He had to die. And he had a great death scene. Fabulous death scene. And really, when you think about it, there's nothing more you can do with that character. Once that storyline plays out, he stole the throne, T'Challa takes it back, all that. Narratively, there's nothing left for you to do with that character in any real practical way. So him going was pretty much what they had to do, and I've always understood that. At least that's my opinion on it. That's just my opinion. Josh DeRose writes, how relieved are you after the will he or won't he drama? Nylander put the Leafs over the top, who are already the best team in the league. I am not ready to call the Leafs the best team in the league. Not by a long shot. But for the first time in my lifetime, I look into the future now. By the future, I mean the immediate future, right? Let me just pull up a figure here. I look at the future now. And I feel optimism. Now, he should be in a Leafs jersey. I don't think that makes them Stanley Cup favorites. I don't think that makes them any of that kind of stuff right now. But I will say, with the offseason, great additions, with this finally being settled, with Matthews and all that kind of stuff, for the first time in a long time, I feel hope. Wrap your heads around this. My all-time favorite sports team, and always will be my favorite sports team, I bleed blue and white, is the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I don't talk a lot about the Leafs because I know a lot of you guys don't know anything about hockey, and that's fine. But never in my lifetime, in all my years of existence, have the Toronto Maple Leafs even been to the Stanley Cup, let alone won the Stanley Cup. That is a track record of futility like very few in sports history. And for most of those years, they've just sucked and they've been the laughingstock of the NHL. To be in a place right now where they're actually really good and they're just going to get better, that's an exciting time for me, man. It is an exciting time for me. Mark C. writes, what comic books do you regularly read? Right now, none. I haven't read any the last one I read regularly was Saga, but that was just me getting caught up on Saga. And I read through the whole thing of Saga, and that was magnificent. But as in like week-to-week release, it was probably Daymen. It was the last one I was reading week to week. The problem was after New 52, and I read a whole ton of New 52 when it came out. And what got me into New 52 was Aquaman. Because a bunch of you guys are telling me, because I used to dump on Aquaman all the time, then a bunch of you guys say, John, but check out Aquaman in New 52. And then Aquaman in New 52 and the Aquaman in the Injustice Gods Among Us really made me a Aquaman fan. But New 52 was pretty much the last time I was reading stuff regularly. I haven't really I read one thing with Rebirth. I read some of the Batman Rebirth stuff, but really not regularly. So it's been a while. I just don't have time. Like, you guys hear me talk about how many TV shows I'm behind on. I just don't have time to read a lot of comics right now. So hopefully I'll be getting back into the swing of things here soon. Light Runner 87 writes, play near Automata, one of my favorite games. You know what? I am going to jot that note down. Hold a second. It's called NIER Automata. I'm going to bookmark this. It's a PS4 game. I'll be honest with you, I've never even heard of it. So I am saving this. I'm going to check out some trailers on this later. Thank you for sharing that with me. I really appreciate that, Light Runner. Let's see, because I'm looking for great games to play. Tim Rico writes, great show, John. Can you say hi to your fans? Bill, Common, 666, Ann B, The Gray Man, Dance Party, and Mary. Please keep bringing the filthy. Well, thank you so much, Tim. I love, and like, these are all names that are common places in our chat board. And thank you guys to all of you, Common, 666, Ann B, Gray Man, Dance Party, all of you, Mary, all of you guys who I see in my chat board all the time. Thanks for being here and being a part of the community. You guys make this show what it is. And look, I'm just one part of this show. I'm on this side of the screen. I should point this way. I'm on this side of the screen talking, but the other part of the experience of the show, if you're able to watch live, is the chat board. That's where a lot of it happens. That's where a lot of the interactivity of it happens. When you guys can actually then discuss what we're talking about here, that's the other 50% of the experience. So, hey, I'm grateful for any of you who watch this show. Awesome. But if you get a chance to watch live, when we do the shows live, be it the John Campea show at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time or the open mics that just kind of happen randomly. But if you get a chance to watch live, do watch live, because then you get to participate with this great community we have in the chat board there. And it's, always a lot of fun. All right, let's go on here. Javier, we're already over an hour and a half, so I got to start to wrap this thing up here soon. Javier Rios 405 writes, Packers just fired their head coach. Yeah, I mean, look, with all due fairness to Mike McCarthy, who did win a Super Bowl, the reality is this, though. Hold a second. Sorry, fact checker Jonathan's texting me something. I gotta text him back here quick. Mike McCarthy, who did win a Super Bowl, the fact of the matter is, other than Tom Brady, you have had arguably the greatest player in football on your team as he's the Green Bay Packers. You've had arguably the greatest player in football as your quarterback. And you've been to and won one Super Bowl. And this season is a losing season, which is unheard of, right? Let me just look up a statistic here, because it's kind of shocking here. I'm just trying to get their thing because here's the thing. Because they just lost again today to, I think, Arizona, which is not a good team. Not a good team. Right? They're losing record, and you lose today. It eventually ends their playoff hopes. So with weeks still to go in the year, they're already out of the playoffs. When you've got Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, that can't happen. So what are you going to do? You're going to trade Aaron Rodgers? You're not going to do that. So they fired the coach today. And he'll get another job. Mike McCarthy will get another job. But yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. James L.H. writes, Christian Bale doing press for Mowgli was asked how he transforms for roles, and he said he doesn't want to do that anymore. Hope he sticks to that. As much as I love him as an actor, it can't be good for his health. Yeah, like whenever you're seeing things like, was it The Machinist? Is that the one where he got down to like 5 pounds and this little skeleton dude? I might be thinking of a different movie title. Or Vice, like he got huge for Vice, right? I love that he can transform himself for movies, but I mean, going that far up and that far down and doing it all the time, it can't be that good for you. Just do Bradley Cooper does and just play your body type. Just play your body type. Like, I love and admire his dedication for transforming himself for doing that stuff, and he does look amazingly good for Vice, right? I cannot wait to see Vice. This looks amazing. Cannot wait. But I agree with you, James. At some point, he can't do that anymore. He's got to stop that. It's not healthy. It's not good for you. Do it once or twice, fine, but he's done it a number of times, right? He's gone to some big extremes with his body. And while, I'm sure he's done it under the watchful eye of a nutritionist and his doctor, and that's great, but even still, it can't be great for you, and it can't be easy. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear him. I'm with you, James. I'm glad to hear him. He's going to stop that. Callis Mena writes, where the F is the Avengers 4 trailer? Don't get me started on that, Callis. Comic Doctor writes, Teen Titans to stream on Netflix Canada around Christmas. You can watch when at home. All CBS shows, I believe. You know what? Yeah, we were talking the other day, Comic Doctor, about how, like, in other countries around the world, like Star Trek Discovery, which is only on CBS All Access here, there is no CBS All Access in other countries, so you can watch them on Netflix. And I have heard that in other countries around the world that don't have the WB streaming service, or the DC streaming service, Warner Brothers licenses out Teen Titans. It's just called Titans, not Teen Titans. They license out Titans to be on Netflix in other countries around the world. I didn't even think that might be applicable in Canada. So yeah, maybe when I'm in Canada for Christmas, me and Ann are flying up there this Christmas. Maybe I'll actually get a chance to sit down and watch Titans. If it is on Netflix in Canada, by the time I get there, I will watch Titans when I'm there. I'll watch it when I'm there. Let's see. ZOMG Ruler writes, Nost Critic says MOS was bland. Disagree. I don't care. I don't care. Who cares what one individual person says? You guys already know what I think. So that's kind of a baity question, ZOMG. You know what I think of Man of Steel. So, and I know there are other people who disagree, so I'm not going to get into a he said, she said, tit for tat over something. I have no idea who Nost Critic is, so whatever. Devon Brown writes, if Into the Spider-Verse is a success, what are the odds Sony just uses Spider-Man in animated form and leaves the live-action appearance for the MCU? Oh, that'll have nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. What it did depend on was the performance of Venom. Yeah, I've been telling you guys that for months. That if Venom flopped, I told you guys this for months. If Venom flopped, you are going to see Sony pull Spider-Man out of the MCU. Because they would have had no other choices left. If they can't make comic book movies work without Spider-Man, then they were going to go and pull Spider-Man back. The result of an animated film will have nothing to do with it. Nothing whatsoever. So I don't think that's going to have any influence on it one way or the other. I think what did have a lot of influence was Venom. Venom is a mega blockbuster global hit. I think that leaves Spider-Man pretty safe in the MCU. I think anything's possible, but I think he's safer right now than he was 2 months ago. You know what I'm saying? Devontae Brown writes, saw a companion video on the Bill Maher thing, and thanks for answering. Also, you cut one of my chats off, but I said your friends definitely disagree with you. I'm not quite sure which one you are. If you're talking about there are other people who disagree with me, I don't care. Everybody's allowed to be wrong. look, there are people out there who, ooh, it's popular to bag on this right now, so let's bag on it too. So I don't care if people disagree with me. Everybody's allowed to be wrong. That's fine. They're perfectly allowed to be wrong, whoever they are. They're perfectly allowed to be wrong. But I'm pretty firm in my belief that it is idiotic that anybody made a big deal out of the Bill Maher stuff. It's idiotic. It's pointless. We don't care. You never cared about what Bill Maher had to say about anything. Why do we suddenly care about what he thinks about Stan Lee or what he thinks about whether comic books are just for children or not? Who cares what he thinks? He's not in our world. He's not in our circles. We never talk about Bill Maher. We never bring up anything he says about anything. But, oh, he wrote something on his blog. So let's go take it and spread it around to everybody and give us somebody to dump on to let out our frustration and anger and grief and whatever about the passing of Stan Lee. And let's find somebody to take it out on. And that's all that was. Because we don't ever care about anything Bill Maher says, nor should we. But, oh, he said something about Stan Lee right now about comic book movies. Let's all gang up on him. I don't care who agreed with me or disagreed with me. I never give two shits about who agrees with me and who disagrees with me. I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm going to tell you why I think it. Then it's up for you to decide whether you agree or disagree. And I'm perfectly happy if you agree with me, and I'm perfectly happy if you disagree with me. It is not my job to convince anybody to think the same way I do, nor is it my job to agree with what anything anybody else says. You know, I just try to look at it from a common sense point of view. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I fail, but I try to look at it from a common sense point of view if I can. And I form an opinion, and then I express why I came to that opinion. And it's great if you disagree with me, and it's great if you disagree with me. As long as me giving you my opinion and my rationale for my opinion helps you sharpen why you disagree with me or help you sharpen why you agree with me. That's all I'm here to do. So if somebody else disagrees with me, I don't care. That's fine. But it's irrelevant, you know. It's not going to change my mind about who agrees or who disagrees with me. Anyway, Marie Seifring writes, James Wan, Jason Momoa, and other cast members came to surprise fans at an Aquaman fan screening in New York. Reports I saw said that the event was very successful. Do you have a favorite surprise fan event story? Well, for me, because I got to play a part of it, one of my favorite fan surprise stories was opening night of Avengers, the first Avengers movie. And I've told this story before. Clark Gregg was there with me at the event. I'm going to see if I can actually find this picture. I'm not sure I can, but let me see if I can pull it up here. But anyway, Clark Gregg was with me at my AMC because this is back at the time when we were still in the closet. We were still in the converted storage closet, and that was our AMC Movie News studio, was this converted storage closet at the AMC Burbank 16 in Burbank, California. And I had Clark Gregg, who plays Agent Coulson in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and of course he was first Agent Coulson in the MCU. And so he was there with me, and this was opening night. Now, it was a crazy night, because what started happening was we had Avengers playing on, I think, 4 screens. There were 16 screens. We had it playing on 4 screens opening night. But as the crowds and the tickets sold out, they opened it in another screen and then another one. And before the end of the night, Marvel's The Avengers was playing on every single screen in the theater. Every single screen in the theater. And here's a picture of this that I get a kick out of. So this is me and Clark Gregg that night, that opening night of Marvel's The Avengers, when all the theaters were now in. Everybody was in the individual theaters watching the movie. But they did not know that Clark Gregg was there. And so what I got to do, which was really fun, and we coordinated this with AMC, what I got to do was I'd go into a theater 2 minutes before the movie was supposed to start. I go, hey, everybody, my name's John Campea with AMC Movie News, and so thanks to you to be here, and blah, blah, and woo, Avengers, yeah. By the way, somebody's here wants to say hello. Agent Coulson, Clark Gregg, and he would come in, and audiences would lose their minds. Like it might as well have been Robert Downey Jr. I'm sure Robert Downey Jr. would have got a bigger response. But they went crazy. So every theater was starting Avengers 5 minutes apart. So as soon as we were done in that theater and Clark Gregg go in and said hi, me and Clark would run out of that theater and go into the next theater. And they go, "Hi, everybody, I'm John Campea, movie news, but somebody here wants to say hi." We bring in Clark Gregg, and then we go into the next theater. And we did that for like 10 different theaters. I'm biased because I got to participate in that fan surprise thing. So obviously I'm biased. But that was my favorite one, just because I got to be a part of it. Ben Rayner writes, will Avatar 2 have to do huge marketing push? Oh, yeah. Any big budget movie has to do big marketing pushes. And especially with Avatar, considering it's been so many years since the first one is out. Like, does it have to do a bigger marketing push than a Star Wars movie? Does it have to do a bigger marketing push than I don't know, Avengers Infinity War? No, not necessarily. No, not bigger than that, but they do have to do on that kind of a level. Because they've got a lot of money they got to make up for. A lot of money they got to make up for. Because these are expensive movies. And on top of that, it's been a lot of years since the other Avatar, so they can't just rely on that. So yeah, they're going to do a big marketing push for that, no doubt. All right, let's see here. Muhammad, I'm going to butcher this, man, so forgive me in advance. Muhammad Dreza writes, I love to see Warhammer 40K movie, epic visuals, but I don't think that would fly given the protagonists are Nazis times a million. I used to play a bunch of Warhammer 40K. Me and my buddy, you guys remember Rodney. Rodney got me on to playing, I never really played it with him, but he got me turned on to playing Warhammer 40K, and I got the armies together. It was a very expensive game to play, though. I don't know. It's a tough sell. I mean, I agree with you, man. I think, look, if they announced tomorrow that a Warhammer 40K was playing in a theater near me, I would be rushing out to see it, sure, but I don't know that a lot of other people would. I don't think your average movie going on is just rushing out to see that. And clearly, narratively, there are some issues as well. You have to do something with your protagonists. And we're the Space Marines. Anyway, you have to do a lot of stuff with your protagonists, but it would be interesting. Yeah, I've never really thought, I've been asked before over the years if I thought they'd ever do a Warhammer 40K. I've always had my doubts, and I still do. I think you're right. I don't know that it would fly. That's the best way to say it. I don't know that it would fly. All right. Devontae Brown follows up with, also have more to say because I think you missed my point before. Understand you don't care about Bill Maher, but many do, and he has a platform with exposure. No, nobody cares. Here's the thing, Devontae. Nobody who is complaining about Bill Maher's comments have ever cared about Bill Maher. And he has a platform. Who cares? Who cares if he has a platform? No, seriously, who cares? That doesn't change a thing about who he is and the fact that none of us have ever cared about him. But there are some people who do. Yeah, well, that doesn't affect me. That doesn't affect me in the least. It is still profoundly ridiculous to me that anybody made an issue out of Bill Maher's statements. Seriously. And to me, I still hold 100% that it is the absolute 100% equivalent as getting upset over the comments of Larry the plumber from Toledo. Did you hear that Larry the plumber from Toledo wrote on his blog that you've never read in your life, but he got on his blog and wrote that he thought comic book movies were just for children and it's kind of dumb that adults watch them? Ooh! It's the same thing. 99% of people who are expressing all this outrage over what Bill Maher said, and I think what Bill Maher said was idiotic, but I don't care. 99% of the people who are getting outraged over what Bill Maher said have paid exactly as much attention to Larry the plumber from Toledo over the past 5 years as they have to Bill Maher ever in their lives. Bill Maher wrote something that was his opinion on his blog. And we are the ones who took what he wrote on his blog and started spreading it all over the place. And again, I 100% believe we were just doing a very human thing, which is we needed a scapegoat for our grief. We needed a scapegoat for the grief that the fan in us felt over the passing of Stan Lee. And because the fan in us felt a very deep grief, but we had no one to take it out on. Armie Hammer became one person that I took it out on, and that was unfair of me. And Bill Maher, the reality is we were just looking for anybody to say the slightest wrong thing and everybody would have ganged up on them. It doesn't matter if it was Bill Maher. It doesn't matter if it was Larry, the plumber from Toledo. It doesn't matter if it was Ryan Gosling. It doesn't matter if it was, anybody. We were all just looking for somebody to dump on. And we were just all looking for somebody to say the slightest wrong thing about Stan Lee in that moment, and they would have become our poster child. Nobody cares. We have never talked. I have never heard Bill Maher ever come up on any movie show or any movie blogs or anything that I've ever read. Never once. Oh, but he said something about Stan Lee, so we need to jump all over this because that's what we do, apparently. So, and the fact that he has a platform is completely irrelevant to the discussion. It's completely irrelevant to the discussion. So anyway, yeah, that's just how I feel. Clearly, Devontae, you feel differently about it, and that's totally cool. But like from my perspective, sitting here, I'm just like looking at this whole thing playing out. It's like, wow, we're really making an issue out of this where no issue exists. Some guy that we never talk about and never care about said something on his blog that we don't like, and we're going to act like the sky is falling now. I mean, hey, whatever. But it is what we do. I mean, look, we all overreact to things. I've clearly overreacted to things before. You overreact to things all the time. Everybody overreacts to things. But I do think this is one of those situations where we as a fandom just lost our collective minds and we overreacted to something that had absolutely no bearing on anything whatsoever. And that's just how I feel about it. Anyway, Rodrigo Ramirez writes, I hope Avengers 4, they give Hulk the Thor in Infinity War treatment, making him arguably the number one standout character in the movie. Hey, look, I would love to see that too. I've felt that they've never truly given us the true Hulk, which is fine. They've given us the movie version of Hulk and he's been great. So no complaints to me. What I don't want to do, because I think it's something that I and all of us as fans, we tend to do. We tend to start writing the script for what should happen in a movie that we're looking forward to, right? We do this. I do it, you do it, we all do it. We as film fans have this nasty, nasty habit of pre-writing what the script is supposed to look like in our heads. And then if they don't give us what we wanted, what we had written in our own heads, and they don't give it to us, then we turn on the movie. It's a nasty habit we have as film fans. So I'm perfectly fine if they don't. I just hope they do something great with the Hulk. Whether it's depowering him, but giving him some great character narrative, awesome. Whether it's unleashing that, the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets aspect of the Hulk, awesome. Great, that's great. I just hope they do something good with him, whether it's making him the number one character or not, making him a great side character as he's always been in the MCU. I'm great with that too. I'm as guilty of this as anybody, so I'm always trying to resist the urge to pre-write the script in my head of what I want them to do, because then inevitably when they don't do what we want them to do, we get angry. Even if they make a great movie, we get angry. So I try not to do that anymore. I still do it, I'm sure. I've done it a lot as a fan. All of us as film fans have. But I am interested, especially after watching the Infinity War director's commentary with their comments about the Hulk. I am really curious to see what they do with the Hulk in Avengers 4. I'm dying to see which direction they go with that. All right. Hawker Walks writes, what's your second favorite Disney movie? If you're talking animated, probably Aladdin. If we count Pixar as Disney, there's a lot that would, so Lion King is my favorite, obviously, but maybe an Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Up. It's hard to vote against Up. Incredibles, Ratatouille, WALL-E. It's hard. You know what? I've never really thought about it. I don't know that I have a definitive number two. All I know is that my definitive number one favorite Disney film and my number one definitive favorite animated film in general of all time is Lion King. Second, I've never really put that in any kind of an order, so I'd have to think about that. All right. Lord of the Flies writes, holy crap, I'm looking forward to Aquaman. The New 52 has made him my favorite character in any comic books. Dude, New 52 is exactly what turned me on to Arthur Curry. It's exactly what turned me on. And by the way, this Aquaman, if you've never read the New 52 Aquaman, you don't have to read it. That's fine. But I'm just saying, a lot of the stuff that was in that New 52 Aquaman, like the trench and all that kind of stuff, you can clearly see there's a lot of those influences from the Aquaman New 52 run in this Aquaman movie. You can clearly see there's a lot of influence there, which is kind of exciting to see. But yeah, I'm totally with you, Lord of the Isles. That's exactly what got me turned on. Well, that and the interpretation of Aquaman in Injustice Gods Among Us. I thought that was a pretty badass Aquaman as well. But yeah, the New 52 comic was really, really good. And it's ultimately what turned me around on Aquaman. All right. Candy Kearns writes, he said the same thing he had been saying for hours. Burn them all. I'm freezing. I don't know it off the top. Sorry, Kenny, you stumped me. I'm freezing. You guys in the comment section, if you know it, shout it out. All right, let's move on here. Now I get likes rights. Oh, we had another jump. Okay, now I get likes rights. The Infinity War writers, when asked about Thanos' injury, said, I don't think he's going to be doing with that arm. Interesting. I don't think he's going to be doing with that arm. Interesting. Well, I'm not exactly sure what you're getting at there, but I do know that the Russo brothers, and I believe one or two of the screenwriters were in the commentary with them, during the commentary of Infinity War said that both the Gauntlet and Thanos were permanently damaged. Now, whether that was just misspeaking or whatever, I always found it interesting that they said both the Gauntlet, because you saw the Gauntlet was like wrecked, right? After he did the snap. And Thanos himself was pretty wrecked. But that they said Thanos and the Gauntlet are both permanently damaged. How damaged? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but I always did think that was interesting. Mitchell Biller writes, you hear about Shrek Retold. Look it up. I have not heard about Shrek Retold. I've been hearing whispers for a few months that they might be trying to get Shrek going again. Let me just pull something up here. Let's see. Oh, it's some kind of online thing. Okay. No, I'm not familiar with it. I'll have to look into it. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I have been hearing for a few months that they are trying to get Shrek going again. I think they did a story before about almost like rebooting Shrek. Like not really sequels, but something else. It's going to be interesting to see which way they go with all that kind of stuff. Let's see. The Hunt for Gollum writes, why do we send you money even though you're a CEO? Well, here's the reality. I explained this once before. I'll explain it again. I took over this company called Power Media, which is the owner of the Stream.tv. You guys remember the Stream.tv is where we used to shoot AMC Movie Talk many years ago. And they continue to do stuff. And I've always maintained a relationship with them. And they came to me and asked me to kind of head up operations, right? But little insider information here. I don't take a salary from them. I don't take a salary from them. Me taking over this company from an operationals point of view, like I still got great executives there who are marvelous and fantastic that bring huge things to the table, and they don't like me talking about them because they're like, no, you don't need to talk about me. I'm like, okay, fine. But the reality is I don't take a salary from them. We have some things that we want to do, but the reality is me taking that position meant I lost a lot of my income. Because I have less time now to make my videos. I don't make as many videos as I used to. And remember, the John Campea channel, I used to do in the morning, we had the John Campea show. In the afternoons, we had open mic every day. I don't have time for that anymore. Now I maybe do one, sometimes two, but really usually about one open mic on the weekend. So like one open mic a week. Whereas before I was doing 5, 6, or 7 of them a week. So I've lost 30, 40% of my income. I make less money today than I ever have doing the John Campea show. Because, and you might say, well, John, why do you do that? Because I decided to bet on me. I decided to bet on myself that we have some plans there of things we're going to do, and we need every dollar that we have. And I decided to take the leap of faith and bet on myself that I will succeed. And when we do succeed, there will be financial rewards for everybody involved. I did a little discussion with my Patreon supporters explaining all this a couple of months ago. That, even though I am running this company now, you'd think Campea is rolling in the money. Clearly not. I'm actually making less money today than I have ever since I started the John Campea channel. And that's just a reality. Now, it might mean, doing so may mean that at some point in the next year or two, I might be making more money than I've ever made in my life. That's the gamble. That's the thing. And there's no guaranteed success. But when trying to decide whether or not to do this move, and this is unlike anything else. We're not making shows at Power Media for YouTube. We're not making shows for YouTube. We're trying to make shows for networks, right? And we're a year or two away from seeing if our stuff actually works and if it succeeds. But it meant for me taking a risk. Risking, in the short term, maybe making less money than I was, in order to hopefully have a longer term payoff. In order to do that, I had to make a decision if I was going to bet on myself that I could succeed. And I decided if you don't believe in yourself enough to bet on yourself, then you shouldn't be doing whatever it is you're doing. So I decided to roll the dice, and I decided to put that bet on myself and to see if we can make it work. And if it works, and we'll know probably in about a year, we'll know if it really works. If it works, the payoff will be amazing. If not, then I'll be broke. But that's not unlike any of my other big risks. I gambled giving up the movie blog to go to AMC when they could have pulled the plug on it in any minute. But I made that gamble and I went there and did that. When it came time to move everything from AMC over to Collider, and I could have gone and done other things. I had other big opportunities laid out for me. And I knew going over to this other company here that it could just all end and blow up and be gone in a matter of months. But I decided to take that risk anyway. When I decided to leave my corporate paying gig and come and just do my own YouTube channel, I knew it could end up with me being bankrupt. But I decided to do it anyway because each step along the way, I believe in betting on yourself. And I've bet on myself the entire way through in my entire career, and it has always paid off. I've failed many times along the way. I've dropped the ball many times along the way. But ultimately, betting on yourself usually works out. And then when this opportunity came along, I decided, I had a lot of deep talks with Ann about it. And Ann was the one really pushing me to do it. We just decided, I'm going to bet on myself again. I'm going to bet that even though this is scary, and it's a big risk, and I could lose everything, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to bet that I can succeed here. You know why? Because I succeed. It's what I do. And it's what you do. If you're not willing to bet on yourself and believe in yourself and believe that you can climb that mountain, then you shouldn't be on the mountain in the first place. And I've always believed that. And guess what? This whole thing I've done could spectacularly fail. And I could be working with friends of mine at a Hooters next week. I'll put on the tight shorts and I'll have the cleavage exposing shirt and I'll be coming along, hey, you want some wings? That'll be me. I'll be your next server at Hooters. Might happen. But yeah, one of the things that I had to explain to my Patreon supporters when I was making this move was that, you're going to hear that I'm running this company, I'm CEO, and that's when you use those terms like CEO or COO or C anything, right? The optics on that is that, oh, now you're rolling in money. As a matter of fact, no, I'm now making less money than ever before. And whether this thing works out or not, we'll have to find out. We'll find out. We've been doing some great things and we're seeing some great progress, but the reality is we're about a year away from finding out for sure. But I'm excited. I love where I am, and we'll see where it goes. All right. Music lover KB writes, what are your overall feelings on the current state of the DCEU? Also, would you want Disney to do a live-action remake of Hunchback? I'm going to take one question. My current feelings on the DCEU, I've explained that 1,000 times. I don't need to do that again. Would I want Disney to do a live-action remake of Hunchback? Absolutely. And I would love it. See, that animated one they did, I believe Demi Moore was the voice in it. I think the character's name Esmeralda, I can't remember. But anyway, it was dark. There are some scenes in that Hunchback of Notre Dame animated movie that were dark. I mean, really dark. And if they were to do a live action, they would probably have to, it sounds opposite. Like you'd think you're doing a live action version of the animated thing where you're going to have to darken it up from the animated thing. This is an example where I think you'd have to lighten up the tone a little bit from the animated thing because it was pretty harsh. But the reality is this, and this is what comes up every time we talk about Hunchback of Notre Dame. There are many live action movies of the Hunchback story. There are many live action Hunchbacks out there already, unlike Aladdin, at least that incarnation of Aladdin. Unlike Maleficent, unlike Cinderella. The Hunchback was live action stuff long before it was ever an animated thing, right? So there's that. But I'd be up for it. TK writes, John, my Vikings lost to your Patriots tonight. Yes, they did. Did you see our wide receiver, Adam Thielen, yell back and forth with Belichick? It was hilarious. Yeah, I mean, that's just something you probably shouldn't do. Look, Belichick is going to be in the Hall of Fame. He is considered by many to maybe be the greatest coach in the history of NFL. You're a nobody wide receiver. Don't get into a yelling argument with Bill Belichick. It was probably a bad move. But I will say this about the dude too. He made a couple of really good catches in that game. He made a couple of really sharp catches in that game. And I'm actually a Kirk Cousins fan. I am. I was a Kirk Cousins fan when he was with the Redskins. I'm a Kirk Cousins fan now. Obviously, I wasn't cheering for him today because they were playing the Patriots, but I'm a Kirk Cousins fan. Let's see. David writes, how excited are you for Marvel Week this week? Well, I mean, I'm excited as a fan, man. I mean, we've been talking a lot about the ridiculousness of, I'm so angry you're not giving us Avengers 4 trailer first, man. We've been talking a lot about that, but the reality is it's a very exciting week because we are getting that, we're getting the Captain Marvel trailer, which is going to be the first really true full-blown trailer, so I'm excited about that. And we're going to get the Avengers 4 trailer. It looks like Wednesday morning. So there's a lot to be excited about right now. This is going to be an exciting week. I'm super pumped for it, man. Let's see. Corey Jimenez writes, what time does the studio want to complete a film before they release it in theaters? 1 month, 2 months before release? It all depends. First of all, yes, you want to be wrapped as early as possible. You want to have final picture lock and everything done as soon as possible. There are a lot of films that it's right down to the wire, 5 days before a movie has to be delivered. They're working on it right till 5 days before. That happens, but it's never where they want to be. And look, there have been many movies that have come out that have been finished 2 years before it ever hit the theater, right? But generally speaking, a studio would like to have final picture lock and everything as soon as possible, just so they don't have to worry about it anymore. Just say that, okay, it's done, it's wrapped, it's put to bed. Now we can just focus on other things until the release date. They would like to have it done and wrapped and picture locked as early as possible all the time. But sometimes they don't get what they want and it pushes really late. Let's see here. Final 2 questions of the day. This show's gone over 2 hours today, but that's fine because I love talking movies. Tashi Victor writes, you need to make a compilation of your rants. Too funny. I don't have time to go through and find all my rants and do that. There are people who do that on YouTube, and you guys can handle that yourselves. You don't need me to do it. Richie Work writes, Wilder versus Fury last night. Did you watch? I did not watch it. I was out for a good part of the day at Universal Studios Hollywood with my wife, and we were celebrating my mother-in-law's birthday, my wife's mom. With her, my sister-in-law, and our friend Ryan, and we spent some time there. Then I came back, had to do some things. And then when I did have some time to sit down, I was watching the UFC. I was watching Shogun Rua winning his fight, and I was watching Mark Hunt knock out that other guy, that undefeated Aussie fighter, which was great to see. Not great to see the Aussie fighter get knocked out. I don't dislike him, but it was great to see Mark Hunt win. So I'm much more of a UFC fight, but I did watch the highlights, and I heard it was a hell of a fight. It went to a split decision draw, which good for both of them. Apparently it was a really exhilarating fight, and that's always good to hear. Okay, guys. Woo! That will do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for hanging in there. This was a 2-hour and 15-minute episode of the show. I still got that picture of me and Clark up. Thanks so much for being here. Don't forget, guys, tomorrow morning we'll be back with the John Campea Show. Robert Meyer Burnett is going to join me on the John Campea Show tomorrow. That should be looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks so much for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.